Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. They don't wanna see me care. Anytime I make some progress, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb, and I think that the pain that's deep inside is
First Minister, Party Leader and Treasurer here. I'm glad the polls found it. Now you know what they were digging up in Peter's front lawn. So we got it in time for Charlie to get it. Apparently he's going to sit on it. I don't know why, but I'm not quite sure what we're doing here. It's almost like a funeral for a stone. I don't know what this guy's talking about. He's dressed like something out of a house of cards, isn't he? I mean, they look like they stepped out playing cards. Oh, look, a wee bit of pigeon shit on the stone there. We'll send that down to England anyway. And Charlie can clean it up when he sits on it. So this guy's still talking nonsense. You're looking fine, sir. You look like you've just stepped out a playing card. I was just saying that. I feel a bit underdressed here. I could have put on my caftan if I'd thought about it and put a bit of colour into the proceedings, because you guys are well colourful. I'm great.
Well, good evening, John.
Good evening, Ben. How are you?
How are you? I am I'm slightly perturbed, John.
Perturbed? Perturbed?
I didn't give you much warning. You did ask what I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to go into this without you knowing what I was going to say, right?
Go on.
I want to address the teaching unions. I want to address the teaching unions today. And the reason I want to do that is because as a disabled parent who is trying to build up a brand, a business, and it's just me and John doing it, and John's off trying to build another gym and things like that, and I'm trying to do this. Why would you don't think about us and you don't think about our kids' educations when you decide on a whim we're gonna fucking strike. But I tell you what we will do. Sorry, I will keep it to the one F-bomb this evening. But they just do these things, and what they will do is they'll punish you. They'll punish me. They'll punish, they'll try and fine us or take us to court if we decide we want to take our kids off. But they are not giving us any breathing space, any leeway or anything. And I'm just sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And yes, tomorrow is another strike day. Kids had today off school because of the bank holiday. That's fine. But another strike day tomorrow left me stuck between a rock and a hard place. I want to get on. I want to do these things. I want to use the time that I get in the daytime to try and continue to build something for myself, for my family, for John, and for the people watching. And I'm just getting stuck. And they're not gonna help me.
So allow me, if I may, to be a little bit of a devil's advocate.
Do it.
Are you just saying that school is effectively free childcare?
I think most of the country think that, to be honest.
I'm just wondering where you put it, because, I mean, in my mind, looking back on my own school days, really most of the stuff that you learn in school is nothing but indoctrination.
Yep.
You don't learn a lot of skills that you need once you have progressed beyond reading, writing, and arithmetic.
And the thing is, today's schooling goes way beyond reading, writing, and arithmetic, and it starts teaching kids things they really don't need to know. I mean, there's a whole blinking degree called gender studies. What's it for?
Well, I tell you what, we'll go into that in a minute, right?
Right.
Because the US are making some moves around gender. Or some states of the US are.
They are indeed, but we don't want to. Just to preface this, we don't want to make our brand and our shows about critique and criticizing gender this or gender that, because everybody else is doing it. It's so damn boring.
No,
I mean, ask us to comment.
No, all we're doing is reporting the news, like we normally do, with a humorous slant. And with that, I'd like to welcome everyone to this episode 217 of Chasing Dissent Live, with me, John, from the rather, what would you call it? Bear Studio?
Bear?
Yeah. And Ben in the South Coast in his leaky shed.
Not a shed.
Welcome.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
So,
let's address the chat quickly, because
the chat. Good evening, chat room. How are you?
But they say, I think we made the perfect choice, homeschool. And unfortunately, right, when I said a few minutes ago that most of the country probably do think of school as free childcare, that is because a lot of people don't have the luxury to homeschool. And I'm glad that you do, right? And I'm really happy for anybody that does have the ability to do that. Not just they might be able to school their children themselves, or they can afford to hire a tutor. But this is just not something that, considering my personal day-to-day, I could ever consider doing. Because, there are some days I can't get out of bed, or I'm on the phone to John going, I'm stuck on the couch. And some of these shows that I do, I sit here drugged off of my boobies, don't I, John?
Yeah. Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah.
Legally. It's just not something I could consider doing. And if you can, I don't begrudge you doing that at all. I wish you all the power in the world, because quite frankly, you're right, John. They are indoctrination camps now.
Mm-hmm.
That is what a school is.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Oh,
it's happened again, John. It's automatically stuck me on 144p. So if you want to watch it in top quality, make sure you're watching in top quality. Check your settings.
you're on 144p.
144p. It automatically put Julian Dreadeye in at 720 by the looks of it. But it is available in 1080 60.
I'm on at 1080.
Interesting indeed. And also, I would like to say, because Spencer said earlier on in the chat, I've just seen the amount of subs. Congratulations. Thank you so much. You know, we really do appreciate it, and we really do appreciate it as you grow as well.
And if you were here and watched the pre-roll, you got a sneak peek of Himza, who has been responsible single-handedly. That man has done us proud, hasn't he? With gathering subs over the last, the last week or so. I mean, the last 100 subs just flew in. And thanks in no small part to Himza.
Well, I was actually having a conversation with John earlier about live streaming, because we'd originally planned my Paris live streams to have to go through John, because we wouldn't be able to just mobile direct, because we weren't planning on having 1,000 subscribers by the time I went.
Although
now,
I still like the idea of coming in through me, because then it gives it.
I do too.
It's like a show, almost.
I do too, but what I was going to say is that if I'm, because we're going to pre-arrange some times to go live through you.
You do have to be careful though, because if it gets too violent, we'll get the thing pulled.
Do you know what will happen if it gets too violent? I'll turn around on my 4-mile-an-hour scooter and get the hell out of there, because those police will pepper spray me. I'm not stupid.
Did you see them today? Firebombing the police, fireworks. Yes. It's looking quite. It's not. They're not hanging back, and they're not dropping it, are they? They're still giving it a good go. I don't know what the end game is going to be in France.
Well, hopefully we'll be a little bit more towards it in 8 days' time when I turn up on my mobility scooter. And yes, I am taking my riot helmet. They're probably going to look at me weird when I go up to Eurostar with a helmet hanging off the bars of my scooter and go, "Why have you got that?" And I'll just go, "I'm special."
Just say you need it for the rides.
Yeah, in case I hit my head. Can't you see I'm disabled?
Are you going with Lisa? Is it Lisa?
Yeah.
So when the guy says, "What's the helmet for?" you just say, "I need it for the rides," and then wink knowingly at Lisa.
Oh, dearie me. But yeah. Adam says, just to attach a propeller on top of it. Shalini says, "Ben, be careful, for God's sake. I did not know that you cared so much."
Don't be careful.
I don't.
Be reckless and have wild abandon.
What, you mean like every other time?
Yeah, exactly. Why start being careful now? It's a bit late
all
for
of
that.
the people running away from the police, and then me just riding at them at 4 miles an hour on my scooter with my phone in the air so you can all see.
Tally ho!
Tally ho, lads! Tally ho!
Right. What are we going to talk about?
You wanted to talk about the laws around gender in certain states in the United States.
Well, it's going to make a whole new meaning to the words "we're not in Kansas anymore."
Please do elaborate.
Because Kansas have just passed a law that says you are what you were born.
Okay.
And that's it. You can identify as anything you like, but when it comes down to it, legally, you are what you were born. And that's what they say in Kansas. And that's I mean, if Kansas wants to go with that, I'm fine. Really, it's up to them.
But I'm neither for or against it. If the legislator of Kansas want to go with that, that is
It's, in my view, it's a reasonable position to take, but that's just my view, right? But you're going to find people that can't reconcile with that leaving Kansas, and they're going to turn around and go, "Well, we're not in Kansas anymore, so I'm now called Dorothy."
Look, listen. I will say this. In my life, I have known several people who identify as trans on a personal level. I've known more than one.
Yeah.
Right? And these people have never got involved in any of the lobbying. They've never got involved in any of the, the screaming and shouting and trying to, I guess, threaten people like some of them do on social media. And all they've done is keep their heads down and just try and get along with their life. And I've got absolutely no qualms with that. If they've been respectful to me, I've been respectful to them. I'm always happy for anybody to, sort of live as they please until they start trying to encroach on other people's spaces, encroach on other people's rights.
I mean, any kind of body dysphoria has traditionally been classified as a mental illness.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's in all the textbooks as a mental illness. So the people that, and I'm not going to mention names deliberately because I don't want to give them any attention, but the people who, in this country and in other countries, like America and whatever, who are very much to the fore and always giving it Tonka, I think are just exploiting a situation. I don't think they are true. I don't think they're really true to their word. I just think they're doing it for likes and clicks and view time.
I agree. I agree. And like I said, the vast majority of people that would identify as trans don't want to be involved with all of this, activism and lobbying and essentially, like, we take Riley Gaines, for example, the US sports girl who was locked in a room and essentially held hostage for 3 hours a couple of weeks ago after being violently assaulted. Right? Most trans people, or people that identify as trans, are not going to go and get involved in that. That's a very active, militant wing. And like John said, they're probably just doing it for attention. They're probably doing it for likes. They're doing it for clicks. Either that, or they really have been indoctrinated. They have been brainwashed to the point where they genuinely believe, and you will always see people that, not just with the trans lobby, but with people on the quote-unquote far left, you'll see them use terms like words are violence and so we can respond in kind. No, words are not violence, and you cannot respond to words with violence. I'm sorry, but you can't. But these people are doing it.
You shouldn't be using violence at all, but words can be hurtful.
Yeah, but they're not violence.
No, they're not violence. But it's a weird situation that the world seems to be in, because it seems to be bending over backwards to be overly tolerant to everyone, and that's not a situation that that you can continue with, because you can't do that. You can't be tolerant to everything and everyone, because at some point you got to lay down a marker and say no, enough's enough. And the problem is, if you continue to do it, when does enough become enough? And then it makes you the bad guy, right? When really this should have been done, maybe, way further way earlier down the line. And it would never have come to this in the first place. And this is what annoys me about today's society, because it seems to be heading down that decadent route that seems to spell the end times for particular civilizations.
But you can't force tolerance, right? You can't force tolerance without being intolerant. But
people are intolerant. But look at the people that look at, and I hate these people that keep banding these terms, far right, far left. Well, I don't hate the people, but don't use these terms, far left, far right, because they actually mean nothing, right?
They mean the same thing these days.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, if you've seen that meme I did, the hoop thing, and far left's here and far right's here because they almost meet. Somebody's bent the horizontal line till the meanings are just the same, and really, it's not about left or right. And in fact, these people aren't left. This is not what the left is. The left has never been intolerant. The left has never been authoritarian, because that's what they are now. They are so
extremely
authoritarian, it's unbelievable. And that's not the left. The left were always the party and the people that challenged authority, not imposed it on you. So these aren't far left. They may be communists, but to me that's not left-leaning people. Communism is nothing but tyranny.
Well, no, you can't. Well, like I said, you can't force tolerance on people without being intolerant. And the same thing comes with communism. For example, you can't force communism on people without discriminating, because they'll say that, oh, communism is about everyone being equal, no discrimination. But in order to force it upon a population, you have to discriminate against the people that don't want it.
Yeah.
So,
and you have to.
Well, of course you do.
You've got to level your population out, don't you, if you're going to be communist? And there hasn't been a communist country yet that's done that. There hasn't been a communist country that's taken from the rich and given to the poor across the board. There's always been an elite class.
Exactly. There always will be an elite class when it comes to these sorts of things, because at the end of the day, people don't want to admit this, but human beings as a species are inherently selfish. They are inherently selfish people, and everyone wants to move ahead and get ahead, and everybody wants more for themselves. Everybody wants more for their family. God knows I do. And I don't think it's really bad to admit that, but human nature is to get ahead, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And the people in charge of the communist regimes are the people that got ahead. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones having, Venezuela, for example. Was it Maduro? I'm not sure. But they're the ones flying around the world and having Salt Bay cook for them, whilst their population is starving and their currency is worth less than toilet paper. But this is what happens, and it happens every time.
It does. It does sound like Robin Hood. You're right, Sean. And it's not. I mean, communism doesn't work. Communism, when you're 15 or 16 and learning about it in school and thinking this is great because everyone would be equal, and then when you grow up a little bit and think, hold on, if everyone's equal, then what are you going to strive for?
From Teresa 1 Coffee X5.
Exactly. You'll never strive to be better. You'll never strive to be the best in the sports competition. I mean, the participation award is, to me, it completely negates the need for competition if everybody shows up and gets a prize. But then again, we are...
Teresa for that purchase of a coffee. We love you.
Oh, thank you very much, Teresa. Did that come through on the thing?
Yeah, did you not see it on the screen? Are you watching the wrong screen? Are you watching Ring Central instead of your feed?
Oh, well, I'm watching a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Because I like to monitor the metrics. Also, whilst looking at your face lovely and big over there.
Yes, Teresa dropped us a coffee, so thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Teresa. We do appreciate it.
And we know you're there. We know you're there. Teresa's been she's been getting right into the far left today.
Do you know what? Teresa had her Twitter account hacked and stolen, didn't she?
She did, yeah. She did.
No, John is not yet in his new abode. Things have had to be delayed because John is working his absolute arse off by himself to build out a new premises. And things will be ready when they're ready. But if you look at the abode John is currently in, it's pretty bare. I mean, you can see the longitude and latitude calculator behind him.
Sit, mate. Sit. Latitude and longitude calculator. Pardon me.
Have you heard of a comedian called Owen Benjamin?
No.
He used to go on Crowder's show a lot, and then they fell out because Crowder falls out with everybody.
Crowder seems to fall out with a lot of people, doesn't he?
He really does. But he's been on Twitter the last few days. Owen Benjamin, it's been concerning me a bit because he's been on Twitter the last few days bleating about how he's listened to what the flat earthers say, and now he definitely believes the earth is flat.
Okay.
And it's not just been like once or twice. he's tweeted hundreds of times in the past few days about how the Earth is flat, and it's not stopping. And I'm just waiting for the penny to drop, right? I'm waiting for the penny to drop at some point where he goes, "This has all been a bit, and it's all been funny," because otherwise it's getting to the point where it's quite concerning. He's like, "We're definitely under a dome. There's a firmament
maybe
up there."
he believes it. Maybe he believes, and you know what? If he wants to believe it, that's fine, because other people believe in other things. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that actually believe in God, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know what? If they believe it, they believe it. But I mean,
True.
the thing is, and this is part of what annoys me about people on Twitter, and one of these things, I've got a whole freaking annoying thing. I asked a question, right? I put a question mark at the end of the sentence. That means it's a question, right?
Yep.
So I asked the question: is there any possibility that picture of Zuckerberg and Katy Perry could have been true, because it's not been pulled off of Facebook, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's a question. It was just a question. I didn't bother looking into what age Zuckerberg was or what age Perry is or whatever. And fucking hell, you would think I'd made a statement of fact. It was a question. Sorry, and I swore there and I shouldn't, but it was a question, and you're allowed to ask questions without being vilified and without being attacked.
Yeah.
Personally. Why attack people personally just for asking a question? That shuts down freedom of speech, that does.
Well, I responded to your question because it was a question you asked me.
Absolutely, and you responded fairly.
I just said no, it's not possible, because these people are, Mark Zuckerberg and Katy Perry,
the same age.
5 months between them. 5 months between them in age, and he's actually slightly older than her.
Yeah, so
but
that's fine, right? That's a reasonable response. But for someone to come back who's possibly, under the average IQ of 70, to ask me to think critically for once in my life, go away and think about what you're saying, you abject horror. Right? Because
in asking a question, surely you're exploring every option to come to a critical conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. So I just replied to him saying, maybe you should try thinking for once in your life.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just annoying.
Well, it is, but this is 20. I'd say it's 2023, but it's been getting worse and worse and worse. I'd say the last 5 years online, maybe, where these people have just sort of... I mean, I had a quick look at the person that was saying this to you, and he's retweeting people like Hassan Piker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he you know what? I just muted the conversation after that, because I'm thinking I'm not even going to bother indulging these people, because, you know what? You ask a question and then these people jump on it. It's like, you want to dogpile on someone? Don't bother trying to dogpile me, because I can wipe the floor with you, Anyway, what is it with the SNP being so angry? Why are SNP supporters so angry?
I'll tell you why. I know exactly why.
Why?
They've been found out. They've been rumbled. That's why.
But they're still. I don't understand it, because you cannot say anything, and this wasn't me that said it. It was, what's his name, Pewty that said it, right? And these guys, I mean, he puts out one tweet, and this SNP supporter replies to him 5 or 6 times to one tweet, right? And it's not a conversation; it's just 5 replies, boom, 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 right? And every one is an ad hominem attack. Every single one of them. So if people are attacking you personally, they don't have an argument. And you've already won. As soon as they attack you personally, you've won. Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm going to move to the troll room for a minute, because they're just talking about all of my old broadcast locations.
Why? Why? Why are they doing that?
They're going.
Oh,
I don't know, they're
Adam's
talking
being an
about
arse.
shares.
Adam is. I mean, Adam says, we know how to wind John up. Well, of course you do. Because you do it all the time.
Yep, you do it all the time. Do you know Zuckerberg is now trending on Twitter?
Why? What's he done?
I reckon it's probably because of that. It is that picture.
Oh, my God.
That picture has
The-
got Zuckerberg trending. That
So maybe
fake
it was him.
picture.
Maybe it was him.
I mean, this kid in this picture looks absolutely nothing like Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, it's hard
Not
to tell.
really.
Like, you know, I think it's hard to tell. People change, you know.
But these
Especially
these
when you're
people
grown in a
tweeting
vat.
But these people tweeting it, and the things, you know what? Let's shift tone a little bit, and let's talk about these people that keep spreading this shite, right? This utter crap.
Who's that guy? Who's that guy that you like?
You keep sharing him to me, don't you?
Oh my God! Well, you replied to him once, and I think it was your undoing. He keeps coming out with nonsense. It's like the Philippines has issued an arrest warrant for. No, they haven't.
Nope.
The Philippines have done nothing of the kind, and it's like all you need to do is just a simple, even just a simple search, and you know they've done nothing of the kind. It's like all these people, you know, Hillary Clinton was exiting. No, she wasn't. There was a military train. No, there wasn't.
It was Ellen DeGeneres, wasn't it?
I know.
Somebody tweeted.
It's
Was it
like-
the same guy?
Good grief. Yeah. It's like, good grief, people. You're living in a fantasy, and it's not a good one. It's not
No.
a good one.
Do you know what? It's not wrong to say that there's a strong possibility that there are people lying to you, especially from your government and from the mainstream media. They
Oh.
do it all of the time.
Almost
Right?
certainly.
Almost certainly. But when you start getting to the point where you're saying look at this photo of Ellen DeGeneres, right? You can see the military guy in the reflection. First of all, there's no military guy in the reflection.
Well, there is
she was-
if you zoom into the photograph, you can see it, but it's been put in there, you know.
No, but that's not a military guy. It's really
Okay,
not.
it's a guy in a.
But they're saying that Ellen DeGeneres was executed
No.
and replaced. These people have gone nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that lightly. And it almost feels to me like because there was a lot that wasn't maybe strictly true over the past few years, they've gone, well, nothing's true. Everything must
Yeah,
be.
it's like they've jumped feet first into the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
And there's
and it's like, you know, Paul McCartney. Oh God, here we go. Fucking Adam started on Paul McCartney.
But hold on, I'm going to attempt to share my screen with you for a minute. And if you can make us full screen, I don't know if it will work.
Well,
but
green.
I'm going to give it a go. Right. Tell me if it comes through. Is it through?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And another £5 from Teresa there, was it?
Well, no, I think that's just because I changed screen. It comes up again. I don't think it was another
Okay.
one, but I may be wrong. But I don't think it was.
But
Yeah,
here
you
go.
can see the
Look
guy
at
in the
this
background.
picture.
Yeah.
So look at this picture of Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah, but there is someone in the background, but that's not a soldier, right? That's someone in short sleeves with a hat on. That's not a soldier. That's not a military guy. That's not anything of
Yeah,
the
well,
sort.
the whole
And
thing's wrong, right? Because if you look, there's a leg there, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy isn't attached to the leg, is he?
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah. No, I see that. There's someone in sandals here that's not this person.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a Photoshop, a bad Photoshop.
But what is said here is let me read it. So this isn't from the same person. This is from someone called This Little Miss Know-It-All. That's what they're calling themselves on Twitter. Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah, I know it's a nonsense, but this is what people are tweeting. Ellen DeGeneres, arrested, military tribunal, executed, crimes against humanity. Reflections are important. See the military guy in the reflection. And what concerns me more is the amount of people that respond positively. It's insane. No doubt Ellen is guilty with the rest of them. But this one says there is no military guy's reflection back there.
Yeah,
but
come
still,
back. Come back to us.
I mean, now there seems to be a bunch of people saying it's bogus. But if you go through that, you find that tweet.
Come back.
My
come
God,
back,
the replies.
Stop sharing.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to try that. Hold on. There we go.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the whole thing's absolutely mental. I don't understand why people do this. Well, I do understand. It's for they're either mentally ill,
Yeah,
or they really, really fervently want to believe it, or they're just doing it for clicks and giggles.
I just don't understand. And then you see these clips, like you see these clips put out that allege they are somebody, and then you can't see that person in the clip. You can't see that person at all. And they're like, well, this is Tony Podesta, for example. It's like, is it though? Is it?
Yeah. You know what? Nobody's getting military tribunals and executed and then replaced. It's not happening.
No, well, this is the other thing. The amount of people that I keep seeing talking about how this celebrity's a clone or that celebrity's a clone. What clones? Have we got fully formed human cloning technology out there?
Well, you know, I have my doubts about Zuckerberg.
But still, even if we had that technology, so you've got to plan this so far in advance, right?
Yeah,
You've got to plan this so far in advance, because what are you going to do? Genetically engineer a clone to just wake up as an adult? It's got to go through all of its growth. It's got to go through all of its gestation, just the same as a human being would. So let's say, oh my God, they've replaced Biden with a clone. How old is he now? Like 146? So let's say 145 years ago, they decided to clone him. And
Biden's only 80.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's a joke, John. But the point is, when he was a very small child, perhaps a baby, they would have had to have cloned him at that point, so that the clone was pretty much exactly the same age. So they would have known.
No. You can grow a clone, accelerate. You can accelerate the growth.
You can't even say it with a straight face, can you, John?
No, I can't.
No, you can't.
I can't. I'm sorry.
No, you can't.
You know what, people? Just take the simple solution. Take the simple solution. There are certain things in this world that are a given, and there are other things that we don't know, right? But the things that are a given is your government is not there to act in your best interests. Be very wary of what they do.
Yep.
Don't trust them, and look after yourselves. Nope. These are givens, right? Because no one else is going to look after you. So look after yourself.
And don't trust Lil Miss Know-It-All on Twitter who doesn't show her face that tells you someone's been executed by a firing squad. It hasn't happened.
You know what? It's...
Oh.
And hashtags like Sunak should be on trial. What should Sunak be on trial for?
There's plenty I could think of, but...
No, but what should he be on trial for? Really?
Well, I think they... Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Obviously, there's the want, and I do wholeheartedly agree with the want for these people to be held to account for what they've done to our populations, plural.
Yeah, okay,
not just the United Kingdom. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I know people don't like us saying that, and I know it upsets people. But if we are to actually be an effective force for good, and an effective force for helping you to think for yourself, then you've got to hear what seem to be uncomfortable truths for some. And the uncomfortable truth of the
matter is
that these people are in positions of power. These people are in positions of an elite status. They are in those positions, and they close ranks and they protect one another. They only ever throw one or a couple of their own under the bus when it's beneficial to them. Nothing else. These people will not hold themselves to account for what they have done.
Of course they won't.
And the population's too complacent to upend the system. So what else do you want me to say?
Well, that's pretty much it. I think you've summed it up. In fact, let's move off this. Let's move on to other stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Cultural differences. I have this in one of my talking points. Cultural differences. Okay.
Right.
So it appears that nowadays we are not allowed to dislike cultural differences. Okay.
No. People are allowed to dislike our culture.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, but let's just go back in time, right? And let's just say, let's not go back in time. Let's just say we found another country like Wakanda, okay? But it was populated by people who were culturally very similar to Mayans.
Okay, so
Okay.
they like to sacrifice people to see if the sun would come up.
Well, no, they would sacrifice children to see if the sun would come up, right? And they would select that child and treat them very well for a period of time, and then they would sacrifice them. So,
Yes.
is that a cultural thing that we should allow and not be bothered by? Because where's the line when it comes to cultural differences? That's what I'm asking. Where's the line? Because if your culture doesn't allow one thing and people come to your country, should they still be allowed to practice what their culture allows them to do? Because that seems to happen to a degree in this country, and I don't think it's right. Because if you went to that other country and tried to implement your culture over there, I don't think you'd get very far.
I think you might end up thrown off a building in some cultures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might.
You might indeed. And do you know what? I think that we should be allowed to criticize cultural differences.
I think so too.
Because we live in a culture where we think certain things are wrong and certain things are right, and we have a way forward. Western civilization, you know, we're very liberal. We are a very liberal culture. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. I don't think liberalism is a bad thing. And I don't think that, for example, I don't think anyone except for the two people in the bedroom have any right to wade in on what goes on in a bedroom. I don't care if it's two men, two women, two they, thems, whatever, or a group of 60 people, whatever. And I don't think people should be being murdered / thrown off buildings for engaging in whatever sexual fantasies they wish. Now, I would not like people to come to here and start imposing punishments for that upon people in this country, because that's not how we are. Now, there are countries in the world, especially in the Middle East, and that's just observational, that are very, very intolerant to LGBTQWXYZ alphabet status. They're very intolerant to it.
Yeah, but I'm not even going down that route. I'm just talking about general cultural differences, because we already kind of explored the LGB thing earlier on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to label the point, but it seems to be that you can't, in this country, you can't criticise other cultures, and I don't think that's fair.
I'll make a criticism. I don't think that either halal or kosher or any religious slaughter of animals should be permitted within our borders, because I don't believe that, despite the fact I am an ardent carnivore, I don't believe in unnecessary suffering to the animal before it passes away. I don't believe in that. I think the quicker and cleaner the quote unquote kill, the better. And just a quick, sharp, over and done with. And I know that sounds kind of callous and cold, but at the end of the day, I don't believe in making an animal suffer in writhing pain for the last few minutes of its life. And I don't think that we should allow any cultural rituals that do to be practiced here. Now, that's not against one culture, because there are several that do it, and there are several that do it in different ways, and there are. But I just don't think that should be something we allow, personally speaking.
Yeah, but then,
And I believe,
you see, one of those cultures is those who cannot be criticised.
well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think we've got to the point where there are several cultures that cannot be criticised.
Yeah, but there is one culture in particular that you cannot criticise and you cannot question.
Okay, well, I won't go any further.
And it's not Islam.
I know it's not.
Right. But you can't
I
criticise it and you can't question it.
But at the end of the day, I will criticise that practice, and I don't care who carries it out. I don't believe that, in my personal opinion, I'm an agnostic. I'm not an atheist. I'm an agnostic. But as far as I'm concerned, you might as well be praying, doesn't matter what religion you're in, to a flying spaghetti monster, and I don't think unnecessary suffering should be placed upon anyone or anything in the name of said flying spaghetti monster. That's just my opinion.
Okay, let's move on. The Stone of Destiny that we saw in the pre-roll.
What were they doing? Were they giving it a funeral?
No, they were taking it to England.
They do this when there's a coronation, don't they?
Yeah, it's been removed from Edinburgh Castle and it's been taken down to England because Prince Charles is going to sit on it while he gets coronated. Is that a word?
Crowned, maybe?
Crowned. Anyway, he's going to sit on it during his coronation. It'll be underneath his chair, right?
Right.
And or throne or whatever you want to call it. But so the Stone of Destiny, no one really knows where it came from, and no one really knows what it's about. Right. Okay, but
we should probably do a deep dive into it.
No, nobody knows. This is a problem. Nobody actually knows anything about the Stone of Destiny. It just seems to have appeared somewhere, and it's a Stone of Destiny, and we have to treat it like some kind of. It's like the Ark of the Covenant for Scottish people.
I was going to say they were definitely treating it like the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought someone's face were going to melt.
Did you see the guy? Did you see the guy in the middle on the right? What was his problem? He looked like he was like in withdrawal or something and couldn't walk right. But anyway, apart from that, so it's getting taken down to England because Edward the First, I think, is that Longchamps? Is that the Hammer of the Scots?
Don't know.
So Edward the First, the Hammer of the Scots, took it to England. He stole it and sat on it to show his oppression of the Scottish people after beating them in battle. And so henceforth, every time somebody's crowned, they take the stone down to England and they sit on it to show their oppression of the Scottish people after beating them in battle.
That's not very nice.
Well, that's the only reason for taking it down there. That's what it's all about. It's not very nice, but yeah, so that's your tradition. I'm going to sit on your stone. I might even leak a little urine on it, just for fun.
Adam says, unity!
So there you go.
Vaughan says, Edward was a Chad.
I don't know what a Chad is. What's a Chad?
A Chad is a manly man.
Hold on. Scottish people can't steal their own stone.
No, I believe there were. I think he was right.
They didn't steal it. They repatriated it. It didn't belong to England. They took it back.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah. If you go and take your bike back off the guy that stole it from you, you're not stealing your bike, are you?
Let me break this down to the reality of the situation. Right, it's a stone
that no one knows what it's for. It seems to have iron handles in it for some reason. I mean, nobody has a clue. It doesn't. I don't think it's got writing on it or anything, so I don't know what the significance of this stone is. It is like the Ark of the Covenant, except it's just a lump of I don't know. It didn't even look like granite. It looked like sandstone or something, didn't it? I don't know. It's just
I
a lump
don't
of stone.
know. It's a lump of stone.
The rock
But
that could have been pulled out of Peter's garden.
do you know what? I've seen our Teresa, who frequents the troll room, actually defending the coronation, and that's fair enough, by the way, because the points she makes are quite salient. It's going to cost £250 million, but the revenue taken in from it will be around £1 billion. And that's fair enough, but that extra 750 whatever is not going back into our pockets.
No,
It's not going to go to fund the NHS. It's not going to go and help disabled people.
Hold on, man. The NHS isn't underfunded, and this is the part.
You've uttered the bad words, John.
But
You've uttered the bad words.
This is the part I don't understand. What exactly are they saying is wrong with the NHS? Right? Because nurses and doctors keep saying that the NHS is broken, and let's be honest, they always say this because it happens every year at Christmas. Every year, the NHS, is under threat. But what's the actual problem with the NHS? Because it isn't underfunded. It's got loads of money. It may not be properly managed, but it's not underfunded.
Once again, I've said this before.
And the thing is, it won't matter what government that you put in position. It won't matter what party is in power, because no matter how much money you throw at something, if it's not properly managed, it's never going to work. And I think one needs to go back to first principles and think, maybe we need to start managing it properly, and then think, hold on, it's not there to provide a service to doctors, nurses, receptionists and secretaries. It's there to provide a service to the people who need health services, patients. That's what it's there for.
At the end of the day, and this is once again a bitter pill to swallow, but if you put me in charge, and I've said this before, of the NHS budget, I would look at it dispassionately, and there would be so many people sacked from that organisation. Now, I'm not talking about doctors and nurses and junior doctors and things like that. Diversity managers, curators for the art that goes into a hospital, pianists, concert pianists that get paid to play in, the reception areas. And I've seen that happen myself, by the way. I've witnessed that happen. Some of these people are on salaries with the NHS. There is so much in the way of middle management that could be sliced out. Then we could take away the practice, and this is once again a practice that happens within the NHS, of giving contracts to the highest bidder instead of the lowest bidder. And we could take away the stupid things like paying 90 quid for a stapler.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot could be done, right? But I mean,
like what Teresa says, director of lived experience. This is nonsense. I don't even know
what that means.
And it's £100,000 a year that's not going into frontline services.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing that annoys me is, the people that are striking just now, who are railway workers, teachers, doctors and nurses, are all the people that were least affected over the last 3 years.
You're absolutely correct, because barely any of them lost their jobs, and they all stayed on full salary.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on. Let's move away from this. Let's go to Poland, because Poland's been really quite aggressive, haven't they, about their chat about what's going on in Russia and Putin and all this. And
so this is Polish.
Putin! Is it? Is that
bloody lovely as well?
Poland?
Yeah, it's Polish, this one.
I thought Mountain Dew was an American product. But anyway. Right, so who makes Mountain Dew? Is it PepsiCo or Coke? No, it's not Coke.
It's either. I don't think it's either. I think they're their own sort of entity at this point.
Anyway, moving on. So Poland's been, Duda's been very bullish about, helping Ukraine and all that, but one of his top generals has now come out and said, much like the rest of Europe, okay, we're out of ammo. We can't give any more. So,
Yeah.
so just to put you back in the picture, remember, only like 2 weeks ago, Duda was saying that, you know, if Russia gets any closer to Poland, then Poland's going to have to invade, or going to have to start fighting with Ukraine to repel Russia. How are you going to do that when you've got no ammo? How are you going to do that, Duda?
Very good. That's a very good question. And also, why would you continue to give ammunition to a country that killed 2 of your citizens?
Good question.
On your soil!
Yeah. Deliberately, probably. Well, they didn't obviously try and kill 2 people, but I think they deliberately fired that missile into Poland. Anyway, let's move on.
I've just received a message from my friend who I'm going away with, right? It's a picture of her cat, like her actual cat, no euphemisms.
Right, okay.
And it simply says, "Draw me like one of your French girls, Ben."
Okay.
I'm a bit weirded out.
I really don't think that added to the show, but anyway.
I think it did. That will make people laugh.
It didn't make me laugh. Anyway, Spencer says it's PepsiCo. So I was right. Anyway.
Yes, you were.
Anyway, go back to the SNP and the angry people. Okay.
The angry people.
So, Police Scotland are further probing a missing 400,000 that was donated to the SNP from supporters' wills.
So it's now 1 million that's missing.
So it's now 1 million that's missing, yeah. So another quandary, and yet Sturgeon still escapes arrest. Or does she?
Has she though, or we don't know?
See, this is the problem. Nobody's reporting it. No, and the thing is, if you try and follow her around, you'll get done for stalking.
John?
Yeah. No, I don't have time to go and follow her around.
No, but if you book me a plane ticket, I'll do it.
Yeah, on you go. What am I going to pay for it with? Do you think I would be doing all this work myself at my age, and given the fact that we're trying to run a business here, do you think I'd be doing all this myself if I had any money? I mean, people keep saying, why don't you get some people in? Because one, getting tradesmen to turn up is a complete nightmare anyway, and 2, I don't have any money to pay them. I've got to do it myself. I mean, my wife laid those 2 floors that you've seen. Andy laid those floors, and she's done a damn good job.
She did. Everybody, round of applause wherever you're sitting, at your computers, phones, TVs, tablets. Round of applause for John's wife, because they do look stunning.
I'll post you a picture when it's finished.
Job.
But the floors
Vaughan says my joke about the cat was the best part of the show.
Oh, Vaughan. We know that Vaughan is what would you call him? A deliberate contrarian.
Yeah, but he's our deliberate contrarian.
Do you say that about everybody? You're just such a sop. Anyway, let's move on. And we reported on this. We in fact, we actually did a video on this country quite some time ago. Argentina.
Right.
Well, I did the video, and I said that at some point Argentina's inflation was going to hit 90%.
It's gone beyond that, surely, at this point.
It's 91%. So, just catching
Still not
you
as
up.
bad as Venezuela. Still not as bad as Venezuela.
But just catching you up. I told you that Argentina was going to hit 90%. It's now at 91%. There you go. We're right again. Now, do you know about David Miscavige?
What's he done? I know a lot about David Miscavige.
I know a lot. See, I knew you would like this because you like this kind of stuff, don't you? Right. So, as you know, Miscavige has been sought for serving papers on for trafficking. because there's
Yes, for a long time.
I think there's three counts of trafficking against them from a husband and wife team and from another lady who say they were trafficked as children and then forced to work as adults for little or no pay. And one of them even says she was sexually assaulted on the sea ships or whatever.
Before we continue, for those of you who don't know, David Miscavige is the man who forcefully took control of the International Church of Scientology after L. Ron Lafayette Ron Hubbard passed away. Now, the Church of Scientology is not a church, it's a cult, but they have this organization called the Sea Org, which is essentially slave labor.
You say that, right? You say that, okay? But it's as much a cult as, and don't interrupt me because I know you'll say there are also cults, but it's as much a cult as Mormons.
They're a cult.
Catholic Church.
Probably a cult.
Islam.
Probably a cult.
Judaism.
Probably a cult.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's perfectly within its rights to call itself a religion if it thinks it is, isn't it?
Well, it's got the tax exempt status in the United States.
Yeah, there you go. It's a religion. It's official. Doesn't pay tax.
There have been so many.
Right, go on.
So many allegations of physical, sexual, violent assault laid against David Miscavige and his team.
Yeah. But may I refer you to the Catholic Church?
You may.
That's a prime example of allegations.
I'll take you one David Miscavige and just raise you one pope.
Yeah. In fact, may I even point you towards the Church of England, Church of Scotland, whatever, you know, I mean, Protestant churches are not exempt from these problems as well.
Anyhow, has Miscavige actually been served now?
Well, no, but yes.
Right.
So, apparently lawyers have attempted to serve him 27 times, but a judge has finally got...
on gold base.
Sorry?
He just hides on gold base, which is their big property.
I know, but a judge has eventually said, no, that's it. He's considered served because he is deliberately hiding to avoid being served, so he's now considered served. So now they can go ahead with the prosecutions.
Fantastic. And if those court cases are televised, I will be sure to sit and watch them alongside because I know far too much about this organisation. I mean, I know more than any man should know about the Church of Scientology. But
were you a Scientologist? No?
No, but I was very, very close to going and joining them once just for the lols to see what actually goes on.
Really?
Yeah. So I took the little can test. You know the one.
Yeah, yeah. And how did that...
And then they tried to sell me Dianetics because of course they did.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Because that's how they start. They give you a little free personality test, and then they tell you you've got some thetans. And if you don't know what a thetan is,
I know what that's that ethereal type thing. It's to do with it's like a disembodied consciousness inside your head,
soul.
Isn't it? So yeah. It's
a soul of another being that was thrown into a volcano by evil Lord Xenu. And then it attaches itself to you and creates all of your bad thoughts. So anyway, you're told you've got some thetans, and then they try and sell you Dianetics at a nice reduced price, and then they'll offer you a course of some kind at a nice reduced price, and then when they've got their hooks into you, you will never have money again. They sell you course after course, book after book.
But you'll be in the same. You'll be in the same church as Tom Cruise.
The closeted homosexual who forced his wife to give birth in silence.
Hold on. That's obviously an allegation that has nothing to do with this show.
That's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Anyway, right. So there you go. So that's the news on Miscavige. So we'll keep you apprised of that, people. Stay tuned for other updates.
But forcing his wife to give birth in silence is not an allegation. She came out and said that, Nicole Kidman. But,
it's an allegation by Nicole Kidman. It's an allegation by her.
Even Family Guy has done the Tom Cruise is a closeted homosexual joke, right? Everybody does that joke.
Okay. Right, moving on. India. India in April has become the largest supplier of refined oil to the EU.
I don't feel like I should be shocked by this.
Well, you should be, because India doesn't actually produce much in the way of oil.
No, they just buy it from Russia and send it away.
That's exactly what they're doing. They are buying Russian oil and selling it to the EU. Those sanctions working well for everybody.
Look, this is why I am not shocked, because I knew this was occurring.
So there you go. India takes on the role of Russia by reselling their oil. And remember, it's not just India that's doing this, because Turkey is, there's a number of American countries that have offices in Turkey that are dealing directly, well, not directly, but indirectly with Russia through Turkey. So these sanctions don't work. All they're doing is making everything cost more for people in Europe and the UK and America. And Russia is still getting to sell everything and probably even putting a markup on it before the third parties put a markup on it.
Of course.
It's crazy.
To our financial detriment.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Just because we're not in the EU does not mean we're not Europe. We are Europe. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but they found a 2 billion barrel well of oil under Gatwick Airport.
But they will not dig that out.
Perhaps it's time to start looking closer to home in order to think of energy independence.
There's oil on the west coast of Scotland.
Of course there is.
But it's deep water oil.
Drill it. I know Just Stop Oil would not like me saying that.
It's when I say it's deep water oil, it's deep water oil. That's the problem. So oil's got to get really expensive before it becomes financially viable.
Yeah, no,
it's not like
that makes
the North
sense.
Sea's. The North Sea's shallow. You know, what is it? 200 feet deep or something like that. It's shallow, but between here and Arran, the water goes down to like 600 feet in depth. Okay, and it's only 22 miles. At some points, it's only 11 miles away. But you can sail out into the Firth of Clyde, and there's 600 feet of water below you.
Yeah.
And then a minute later, there's fucking 3 feet, and you think, what the hell's going on?
You swore again.
Sorry, I did. You're right. So, but that was relevant. But anyway.
Okay.
No, you're right.
Have you seen those electric mini submarines you can get? They're like £250,000, right? But you sit in a glass bubble.
Can you get them at Amazon?
Driving wherever you want. No, there's a single. In fact, there's a video of Putin driving around.
I was going to say, is Putin not got one?
Putin! yeah, he does. Those things look awesome.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to go down 600 feet. That's quite a lot of pressure at 600 feet. I don't know how deep they can go.
I think they can go deeper.
Really?
Yeah, I think they can go deeper. I think they can go to like 1,000 feet.
There's a lot of pressure. Anyway.
Spencer says middle aisle at Lidl.
Yeah.
I wish.
Middle aisle at Lidl, yeah. Right, okay, the last item I've got on my little list for this evening is, so apparently Congress is quite happy with the fact that they want the US military, right? Wait for it. They want the US military to be all electric for vehicles by 2030.
Because that's going to work, isn't it? Hold on, lads, in the middle of an active war zone, just got to recharge the buggy, right? Just got to recharge the buggy, lads.
Did you forget to plug your tank in? Do you know what a tank weighs about 60 to 80 tons?
You know what they need, don't you? You know what they need? And it's just as realistic as that. Spider-Man. They need Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I mean, it's just as realistic, isn't it?
The thing is, see if you're driving a detuned diesel engine tank, Well, it depends on your vehicle now, because the Americans have gone nuts. Because the Americans went and put gas turbines into their Abrams tanks, which is crazy. So you basically put a jet engine in a tank. So one, it's really noisy. It can really only burn kerosene, whereas I think you can pretty much stick any alcohol you like, any kind of carbon-based fluid that will burn from diesel all the way through to whiskey into a chieftain, or what used to be a chieftain. Do we still have chieftains, or do they call them challengers now or something? But you used to be able to put anything in them and they would run because they were so detuned. But Abrams are jet engines, so one, they break down all the time, they're really noisy, they give off a lot of heat, and they smoke. So this is not the type of engine you want to put in a tank. No, it's not. So you don't really want to use an Abrams. So give them to Ukraine.
Well, that's what's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're only giving them 30, and they're giving them really old ones. And they're taking all the kit out of them before they give them. That's why they took so long to give them over, didn't they?
I mean, they've still not got them, have they?
I don't think. Well, they'll be training now. Training how to drive a tank. Left, right.
You can just imagine, can't you? They'll drive them out. We have a brand new Abrams. Boom!
I'm pretty sure if you can drive an excavator, you can drive a tank.
You're probably right.
There's probably a lot more to go on with the gun and all that. That's probably in the aiming thing. That'll need some training. But as far as actual driving the tank, I don't think it can be that hard. If you can drive a tracked vehicle, you can drive a tracked vehicle. You know, it's not that hard.
Oh, I'm trying to find. Yeah, Eddie Hall. Have you ever heard of Eddie Hall, the Beast? I think he's a strongman. He's British.
No.
He's got a tank, and he's on YouTube, and he took it through the McDonald's drive-thru.
Is that is it a Scorpion or something? Is it one of these reconnaissance tanks?
You can have a look at it yourself. Search for Eddie Hall the Beast on YouTube.
I'll do that. But anyway, I think we're kind of coming to a natural end to this evening.
I was going to say, if somebody that big and built can get in and drive a tank, I think I'm all good.
Yeah,
I could do it. But yeah, he took it through the old McDonald's.
You could drive a tank, no bother.
Spencer says Carlsberg don't make tanks, but if they did, they'd be pissed.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add to tonight's show, Ben?
I think to be fair, I think I did wonder for a minute why that bad man from World War II Youth was trending, and now I know. And it's because going right back to the beginning of the show, we were talking about the trans lobby. The trans lobby have decided to call children that were at a Let Women Speak event that bad man from World War II youth for simply being there with their parents.
That's shocking.
And actually, I want to shout out somebody. I want to shout out Nick. Do you remember Nick Scum Media Jacked? Mm-hmm. Because he's been making some. There's a lot he says that I wholeheartedly disagree with, but there's a lot he says that makes sense. And one of the things he said was, when it comes to these events, we're seeing, just at the weekend past, for example, we saw like a protest outside of a drag queen story time. He said, your parents, because both sides of that event had children, took their children to the drag queen story time, and the people protesting had children. What are you doing on a warm Saturday afternoon, taking your children to be on either side of that? Why aren't you? This is what Nick said, and I agree. Why aren't you taking them down the park to feed the ducks? Why, if you've got a trampoline in your back garden like we do, why aren't you taking them out the back to have a bounce on the trampoline? Why are you letting them be kids? Why are you involving them in this?
I know.
And I think that's a good place to end. I do.
I think so too. So thank you, Troll Room. It's been great. How many? 18 likes. That's fantastic. And you never even asked. Thank you very much.
And remember, for future reference, if you want to get your comment pinned to the top, you can always click that little $sign down there and send us a super chat.
Oh, the little $sign.
And we're going to open channel memberships at some point by the end of the week, and we'll have some fun little things involved in that, I am sure.
Yes,
So,
we need to.
and nobody is obligated to do any of this.
We'll have a discussion on it, but I think we've got some interesting plans on what we're going to do there, haven't we, Ben?
I do. We do.
And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for attending this episode 217 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, John, and with Ben. On this, the week of the ascension of the former prince. It's
Join
been
us Saturday
great
for an alternative stream.
Yeah.
We have
Right.
costumes.
We do have costumes.
Yes, we do.
So it's been great for you.
For you.
You can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. Too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah? We were built to thrive, yeah? I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah? We were built to thrive, yeah?